Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's Aviation Week webinar 2021 GADS Autonomous Distress Tracking Mandate, How Should Airlines Comply? For today's presentation, we will hear from Christian Belot, Aviation Product Line Director at Orolia, and Pablo Pintado, Project Manager at Air France Industries, KLM Engineering and Maintenance. On today's webinar, Christian and Pablo will speak about Orolia and its place in the aviation industry, search and rescue expertise, and the CNAD Emergency Locator Transmitters, ELTs. Next, presenters will discuss the GAD standards, ICAO's Global Tracking Initiative, and key requirements and deadlines for operators. Finally, presenters will cover Orolia's and how it's leading the way to GAD's compliances, its working groups and Helios program introducing the ELT-DT concept and implementing Orolia's CNAD Ultima DT. And with that, I would like to pass it off to Christian.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you very much. Indeed, I would like to start the presentation introducing Orolia. Orolia is a high-technology company specialized in resilient positioning, navigation, and timing, what we call PNT. Our solutions generate, distribute, and process highly accurate time and frequency signals, which are then used to detect, trace, control, analyze, and synchronize time and location critical events. A good way to illustrate Orolia's expertise in resilient PNT is through search and rescue. Orolia has developed expertise in search and rescue technologies as we design, manufacture, and supply all kinds of distress beacons for many applications, including all types of aircraft, military jets, vessels, or outdoor activities. What people generally do not see behind those devices are the key space segments and ground activity, ground infrastructure with support, detect, and distribute distress signals to the appropriate authority. Once a distress beacon is activated and has started transmitting, the COSPAS payload installed on GPS, GLONASS, and Galileo constellations will pick up the signal and transmit it back to a receiving station on Earth. These are called local user terminals. Then the signal is processed and relayed to mission control centers. The alert and location information are sent to a regional rescue coordination center, which will coordinate the rescue efforts while advising the operator of the alert. As you see, Orolia provides not only a beacon, but also the complete ground infrastructure behind them, enabling us to make a true end-to-end solution and ensure smooth coordination between the search and rescue channels. While Orolia is quite a name in the aviation industry, its CNAD brand has been providing emergency locator transmitters, ELTs, on the marketplace since 1995. Indeed, CNAD is supplying around 30 OEMs worldwide and more than 250 airlines. The company developed a complete range of ELTs, including automatic fix, portable, also called survival ELTs, enabling installation on all types of aircraft, from experimental light platform, ultralights, to wide-body commercial aircraft, as well as helicopters. More than 65,000 CNAD ELTs has been installed on all types of aircraft so far. Now let's start the second part of our presentation and talk about GADS, standing for Global Aeronautical Distress and Safety System. This part, I will explain you the scope and the purpose of GADS, as well as the key deadline associated with this new regulation. As you know, over the last few years, several accidents happened where downed aircraft could not be located in a reasonable time, or even not located at all, involving long and expensive search efforts. Shortly after the MH370 disappearance, a special multidisciplinary meeting on global flight tracking was launched by ICAO to propose recommendations for future improvements. In 2015, one of the main decisions taken was the need for airlines operator to track their aircraft on a more regular basis. This was the beginning of GADS. GADS goals are to increase the ability to locate an aircraft, rescuing survivors, then the wreckage and the flight data recorders. To achieve this intent, an effective and globally consistent approach to improving the alert of search and rescue service is essential. The Global Distress and Safety System, GADS, addresses a number of key improvements during 3 key phases of the flight. First of all, it is important to mention that aeroplanes concerned by the GADS regulation are aircraft with a takeoff mass greater than 27 tons or with a seating capability over 19. Let's talk about the 3 phases of the flights. The aircraft tracking part of GADS was mandated a few days ago on November 8, 2018. It refers to the tracking of an aircraft during normal operation and establishes the operator's responsibility to track its aircraft every 15 minutes. Most of the operators comply to this requirement through existing installations, such as ADS-B, for example. Today's objective is to focus on what is expected and how to comply with the upcoming mandates, which are the location of an aircraft in distress and post-flight localization and data recovery by January 2021. The autonomous distress tracking is the obligation for operators to detect when one of the aircraft is in distress and track it until the end of flight. In distress, location of the aircraft is required at least every minute. We will see later that we propose a much higher frequency. This is a performance-based requirement aiming at locating the aircraft within 6 nautical miles. What is also new is that the activation is triggered by the analysis of the flight parameter of the aircraft itself when still in flight. Aircraft status and location information must be shared with search and rescue authorities and the operators themselves. The third part of GADS is the post-flight localization and recovery. It concerns the end of flight when the aircraft is down, to be able to recover the flight and cockpit voice data recorder, to start the accident investigation as possible, it is said in a timely manner in GADS language. In this perspective, accurate aircraft position information of 1 nautical miles or better must be provided. For example, by means of the ELT homing signal guiding search and rescue services to the accident site. Having those key recommendations in mind, let's now see how Orolia offers to OEMs and operators to comply with those 2 upcoming mandates. New aircraft architectures meeting ICAO's recommendations had to be defined. This is the aim of the AIRINC working group on global aircraft tracking. Orolia is an active contributor to the AIRINC working group, and we are also in constant collaboration with aircraft manufacturers to align system architecture with the regulation. We have been defining a performance-based solution for an airborne equipment communicating with a proven ground infrastructure in emergency management and search and rescue, such as COSPAS-SARSAT. In parallel to the working group participation, Orolia was selected by the European Commission back in 2015 to develop and market the first world solution compliant with the autonomous distress tracking segment of GADS through a consortium called Helios. This project, led by Orolia, also includes key industry leaders in aircraft design and manufacturing, external antenna design, and aircraft modification, including the development of a GADS-compliant STC for the A320 family. This STC includes Orolia Next Generation ELT-DT, DT for distress tracking, which is compliant with both autonomous distress tracking and post-flight localization and recovery from GADS. This ELT, called Ultima DT, communicating with the proven COSPAS-SARSAT infrastructure for detection and distribution of distress alerts to the relevant SAR authorities, communicates with operators at the same time. The Ultima DT comes with an external trigger and flag capability, which will enable the ELT to transmit a distress message after analysis of the flight parameters by the aircraft avionics itself. Moreover, should the flight return to normal conditions, normal operations, the ELT will deactivate automatically, preventing from false alerts. The autonomous distress tracking function is provided by the embedded GNSS, acquiring the aircraft location permanently. As a redundancy, the unit will also be connected to the aircraft GNSS through the ARINC 429 bus. In order to comply with the post-flight localization segment of GAD, we have conceived a robust design, making the unit post-crash resistant. The Ultima DT will be transmitting on 121.5 MHz homing frequency to guide SAR operators in their final approach to the accident site. Before I leave the floor to Pablo, I would like to show you in one simple table how Aurolia's ELT-DT meets the performances required by ICAO on both autonomous distress tracking and post-flight localization and recovery aspects. On the left part of this table, you will see the capabilities expected by ICAO, starting by the activation means. This must be either automatic, based on flight parameters from the aircraft avionics, as well as manually from the crew. Those activation modes are met by the Ultima DT, as we saw in the previous slides. In addition to that, the aircraft position should be initiated at least 5 seconds after the detection of the distress conditions, and then refreshed every minute. The Ultima DT will exceed this requirement by transmitting after 5 seconds and refreshing aircraft position every 5 seconds during the first 30 seconds. Then every 30 other seconds during the autonomous distress tracking phase. As mentioned, its internal battery will ensure the ELT, when activated, can work independently from any other aircraft system, and do not use any power budget that can be necessary in a critical distress phase of the flight by other equipment. Operators will be notified of a distress through the COSPAS SARSAT ground infrastructure and the Rescue Coordination Center. In any case, the automatic deactivation feature will prevent the unit from sending false alerts in case the aircraft has managed to recover from a distress situation. Finally, the Ultima DT meets the post-flight localization and recovery functions through its crash-resistant design, which includes the 121.5 homing signal used to guide search and rescue teams and provides very high location accuracy required as part of the mandate. I will now ask Pablo Pintado to present the STC of the Ultima DT on A320.
So hello to everybody. Thank you, Alice, for giving me the hand. So let me introduce Air France Industrie, which is now, as I suppose that as everybody knows, a major key player in the maintenance area of the aircraft equipment and engines. But Air France Industrie is also largely involved in Part 21 and DOA activities for the cabin area, and that's in this role that Air France Industrie has been involved in this Helios project. So my presentation is divided in 2 slides. The first slide is going to talk about the technical integration of this modification itself, and the second slide will address the certification of this project. Okay, so for this first slide, the pre-mod configuration has been based on an A320 aircraft from the Air France fleet, We used it as a pre-mode configuration. The post-modification, which will allow to install the new LTDT system, will consist basically in the removal of the existing LT system, which include the beacon, the antenna, the remote control panel in the cockpit. After this, we will install the new antenna manufactured by Cobham. We will adapt the existing rack in order to install the LTDT beacon. We will also install the remote control panel in the cockpit. Coaxial cables between the antenna and the LTDT will also be included in this design. The wire harnesses between the RCP, the LTDT, and some Avionics equipment will also be installed and designed by Air France in terms of routing. Installation of power line supply to supply the LTDT with the aircraft in 28 volts will be also part of this design. So regarding the LTDT certification, AIFI KLM ENM is developing a supplemental type certificate for the A320 family aircraft to retrofit the GATS compliant Aurelia LTDT as part of the European Commission for the Helios project. Air France DOI will create and design a specific Air France service bulletin to describe the technical implementation of this LTDT system and to provide all the technical instruction to perform this installation. Certification test, which will be performed during the prototype working party, will allow the EASA to certify the modification regarding the measurement of this and the result of the certification test. Once granted, this LTDT STC could be adapted to any A320 aircraft of any fleet in the world. So we hope to have a lot of possibility to implement this new LTDT on other A320.
Okay, thank you both for that presentation. Now on to the questions. You mentioned that ELT had an internal battery. Is it a lithium battery? And if yes, is it compliant with the requirement on special conditions?
Thank you for your question. To answer the first part of the question, yes, the internal battery of the Canad Ultima DT uses lithium technology. However, we do comply with the FAA's requirements on non-rechargeable lithium batteries. As a proof of compliance to this regulation, the ELT meets two key standards. Firstly, the DO227A, which are the minimum operation performance standards for non-rechargeable lithium batteries. And secondly, the ELT will be certified according to the new TSO C126C.
All right, thank you. Our next question. Could you please detail us the activation means of the ELT compared to a traditional ELT?
Thank you. Yes, the current automatic fixed ELTs activate automatically upon impact through an internal G switch and also can be manually activated through the remote control panel installed in the cockpit. The new ELTDT will be automatically activated by the aircraft avionics when still in flight and can also be activated manually with a control panel as we see today. In terms of automatic activation, there will be three main ways. First, the ELT will trigger in flight, receiving a dedicated label on the AirWing 429 bus. The activation is computed by the aircraft in accordance with the ED 237, where criteria are defined. The second part is, in addition to that, the ELT will activate automatically if there is no activity on the AirWing 429 source. And third, to add a redundancy and looking at various scenarios, another reason for activation will be if the 28 volt is not available for more than 5 seconds. When activated, the LT is working on an internal battery and is completely resilient to the aircraft helicopter. Sorry, I have to restart this point. To add a redundancy and looking at various scenarios, another reason for activation will be if the 28 volt is not available for more than 5 seconds. When activated, the LT is working on its own internal battery and is completely resilient to aircraft electrical power loss.
Okay, and our other question, when will the ELT be available?
Even if we already started the certification process, this is not something we can publicly communicate on today. So I invite everyone who is interested in receiving information to get in touch with us so we can discuss particular plans.
All right, thank you. And it looks like that is it for questions at this time. Before we sign off, I'd like to thank both Christian and Pablo as well as our sponsor, Worlia. I would like to remind you that the on-demand version of this event will be available on the Aviation Week website within the next 48 hours and will be available for 1 full year. You'll also receive an email in the next 24 to 48 hours with a link to access. Thank you so much for attending and have a wonderful remainder of your day.